Today, we are diving into a really strange connection. How an ancient story, of all things, about a 309-year sleep might actually reveal a fundamental truth about our brains. And it all comes down to why the key to waking up is, believe it or not, all in your ears.
So, let's just start with that question. How do you make someone sleep for 309 years? I mean, it sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie, right? We're talking suspended animation, a deep hibernation that lasts for centuries. But what if the secret wasn't some futuristic tech, but just understanding a basic switch that's already inside our own brains?
Think about it. When you want to wake someone up, what's the first thing you do? You make a sound, an alarm clock. You shout their name. It's our most reliable method. And that's because hearing is the one sense that never, ever truly goes offline. It's like our constant sentinel, always on guard, always monitoring the world, even when we're deep asleep.
Now, what's really wild is how unique sound is in this regard. You can actually sleep with your eyes partially open. It happens. Your sense of smell, it dials way, way down when you're unconscious. But a sudden, loud noise? Nope. That will jolt you awake almost every single time. It's like sound has this direct VIP line to our brain's wake-up call center.
Okay, so let's connect this idea back to our main story. This is the story of the sleepers of the cave, which you can find in the Quran. It's about a group of young men who slept in a cave for 309 years. It's a really fascinating story, but for our purposes, we're going to zero in on one very specific, very peculiar detail about how they were put to sleep.
So the text doesn't just say, hey, we put them to sleep. The language is incredibly precise. It says, a cover was cast over their ears. The original Arabic can even be translated as we struck upon their ears. It singles out one sense, one organ, above all the others.
And that right there, that's the core question we're tackling today. Why the ears? I mean, of all the ways to describe a super deep sleep, why focus so precisely on our hearing? And this is where ancient scripture and modern neuroscience have a really interesting conversation.
So let's unpack the science. To really get why the ears are so critical, we need to look at the actual biological hardware inside our heads that keeps us conscious and awake.
All right, so I want you to meet the Reticular Activating System, or just the RAS for short. You can think of this little bundle of neurons as the master switch for your consciousness. It's like the bouncer at the club of your mind, deciding when you're awake and when you're asleep. And what's its primary trigger? You guessed it, sound.
And look at how direct this connection is. It's so simple. A sound wave hits your ear, that sends a signal straight to the RAS, and boom, the RAS flips the switch and your entire brain comes online. It's just a simple, elegant, and incredibly powerful alarm system.
And this is exactly why we call hearing our sentinel sense. Even when you are completely out of it, totally unconscious, your ears are still working. They're still processing sounds. Your RAS is constantly listening for important triggers, like hearing your own name or a danger signal, like a fire alarm, ready to wake you up in a split second. So, let's recap. We have an ancient text that points directly at the ears as the key to a super long sleep. And we have modern science telling us the ears are the main trigger for the brain's on switch. So how do these two things fit together? Well, let's look at the argument.
So on one side, you could argue, look, striking the ears is just an old figure of speech. A poetic way of saying it was really quiet, or that they were completely cut off from the world. It doesn't mean they knew anything about neuroscience. But the counter-argument is, that specificity is just too accurate to be a coincidence.
And this really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? I mean, if it were just a metaphor for deep sleep, why not use a more common one? Why not say, we closed their eyes? We already know you can sleep with your eyes open. Or not, we weighed down their heads. The text specifically targets the one sensory gateway that modern science has identified as the master control for being awake.
Because at the end of the day, the ear is the on switch for consciousness. If you wanted to design a system for a long-term, totally uninterrupted hibernation, you would have to bypass the body's main alarm. You'd have to cut off the input that triggers the RAS. You would literally have to strike the ear.
So let's put all these clues together. We've got the story, the very specific language, and the modern biology of the brain. What kind of picture does that paint for us? Well, by describing this deep sleep as a striking on the ears, the text is basically giving us a kind of ancient blueprint. It's saying to shut down consciousness for a really long time, you first have to shut down the RAS. And to shut down the RAS, you have to sever its main connection to the outside world, the auditory nerve. Block the ear, and the brain's alarm clock simply never goes off. So what's the big takeaway from this amazing intersection of an ancient story and modern science? It really all comes down to the unbelievable power of just a single sense.
And this quote just sums it up perfectly. Whether you see it as a really lucky metaphor or as a piece of stunningly precise biological knowledge, the fact is, the text identified the exact wire you would need to cut to achieve what it was describing. The ear isn't just for hearing, it's the power button for your conscious mind.
And it just leaves you with this incredible question. If such a precise piece of neuroscientific info can be found in a text that's 1,400 years old, what else might be hiding in ancient wisdom, just waiting for us to develop the scientific tools to finally understand it?